Here's the beginning of a DigiPo investigation. We've got nothing except a provisional headline. The idea comes by way of a friend who had read this article. It's something I've read about and heard about from time to time, but I've never actually looked into the claim, so let's see what we can find. As we gather the evidence we'll use to analyze this claim, we'll accumulate documents in a couple of different buckets. Related annotations is going to collect all of the documents that we find related to this investigation, just so we've got a complete record. The timeline is going to be a subset of annotations that are tagged with dates and organized chronologically so we can reason about the flow of events, if it's helpful to do that. We'll start by collecting the article that began this investigation, the one that my friend sent me, which is here. I'm going to use right-click and tag this page. I'm going to look for the DigiPo investigation, which is the one I'm working on. That's this one. And that's going to create a hypothesis annotation with a tag that corresponds to the related annotations bucket on this page. So we've collected so far one document. Suppose I don't know anything about Gawker.com. How am I supposed to figure out what I think about that website? Well, obviously I'm going to go to Google. And here's a helpful way to do that. When I click Google this site on the DigiPo extension, I'm sending Google a query that says, look for references to Gawker.com, but exclude all of them that are actually on Gawker.com. So this is going to give us a view from the outside in, what other websites are saying about Gawker. So if I didn't know anything about it, I could check Wikipedia, which suggests that Gawker was essentially a gossip site. So I'm inclined to be suspicious of this source. But before we spend any more time on Gawker, let's see if we can go upstream and find what sources, if any, they cited for the claim. Here are a couple of them. Apparently a Spy magazine article from 1992 made this claim, as did an author named Harry Hurt in a 1993 book called Lost Tycoon. Let's grab these two pieces of evidence and stick them in the related annotations bucket. Now we've got three annotations in the bucket. So far, all of them related to the same Gawker story. Notice that what we've captured here are direct links that take you to the quote in the context of the article where we found it. Let's see if we can find that 1992 Spy magazine article. This Google search finds the same Gawker article that we were just looking at. But here at thepoliticus.com, which I know nothing about, at least not yet, I'm just looking to see if I can confirm. Okay, here's the quote. And oh, great, here is actually an image of the page from Spy magazine. So we've verified anyway that this is the actual quote reported in Spy magazine. Let's stick this article in the bucket as well. There are two ways to do that. If I have a selection, I can right-click and tag the selection. But if nothing is selected, I can right-click and tag the page, which in this case I'm going to do. This will create a hypothesis page note since there's no specific quote on this page that I'm interested in. So I've heard this claim before. I wonder if it's ever been debunked by one of the sites like Snopes that debunks those kinds of things. Let's just grab the text. Trump probably addicted to amphetamines. This tool right here, search debunking sites for this selection. Okay, so this is the Google query that we've run just now. We're looking for Trump probably addicted to amphetamines. And then we're looking for those words on any of these sites, SourceWatch, FactCheck, Hoax Slayer, Snopes. And I'm not finding it. It doesn't prove anything, but it's an indication at least that perhaps this has not been debunked in any obvious way. What about this 1993 book by Harry Hurt? What can we find out about that? I'll start with just a plain Google search. Here's the Amazon page. Can I look inside the book? Not really. This is from 1993, and I don't think Amazon was scanning a lot of books back then. I wonder if it's in the library. I'll just grab the title here, and I'll run another DigiPo query, find the book in the library. This runs a WorldCat query, and yeah, the closest location to me is San Rafael. That's 35 miles from here. The book is on hold. While we're here, let's check the editions. This is kind of interesting. The book's from 1993. There was a 94 edition, and then guess what? Updated in 2016. As I look for more information about this book, I find a couple of articles on publisher websites that look interesting. Out-of-print bio will remain out of print due to fear of financial repercussions. This seems to come from the website of a legitimate book publisher, but let's just take a look and see what we think. This looks like a legitimate book publisher. Apparently the book is out of print and will remain so because the publisher, Norton, is afraid of a lawsuit. It says here that they've returned the book's rights to the author. So it looks like the 2016 edition that we found was self-published. Let's put this in the bucket as well. And this is interesting. There was a Kickstarter campaign in June to relaunch the book. Here's some information about the author we can check if we need to. According to the Kickstarter update, we can click here to get yours. I actually signed up for the Kindle Unlimited free trial just because I'm curious at this point. Skipping to the end, I just want to kind of scan through the notes and get some sense of the degree to which this book is accountable for its sources. It looks like it does a pretty good job. So the quote that we're looking for has to do with diet drugs. Let's try to find that quote here in the book. So here it is. There's the quote. And here's the reference to Dr. Greenberg. So the claim here is, in 1982, Trump paid a visit to the office of Dr. Greenberg. According to the doctor's records, here are the notes for that page. Hurt is citing the Spy magazine article, but also claiming to have had access to copies of Trump's medical records. So what have we got so far? These are the annotations we've collected. We've got the WorldCat link to the library book. We've got the Kickstarter page. We've got this article about the reason why the book was out of print. We've got the reference to the 1992 Spy magazine article. This is the original article that prompted this investigation. These allegations of drug use go back quite a way, so let's start building the timeline and then see if we can move forward and find anything more recent. To put a document on the timeline, we just need to add a hypothesis date tag. I'll use this WorldCat record to represent the 1993 Trump bio. I'll grab the text 1993, right click and use the assign publication date tool. And now when I refresh the page, it shows up on the timeline. There wasn't a month or day, so it'll just show up as January 1st. That's okay. And I'll also use the Politicus article that had the picture of the Spy magazine page as a placeholder for that actual article since it's not on the web. So again, I'll just grab 1992, assign the publication date, and now that should also show up on the timeline. Yeah, there we go. So I think that's enough for now. This has illustrated some of the strategies that we use to investigate these kinds of claims and some of the tools that we use to accumulate the evidence that we've found as we do the investigation. Here's a DigiPo investigation on North Carolina voter suppression. This is a follow-on to an earlier video in which we saw how hypothesis annotations whose tags match the wiki ID of the investigation page are collected in a bucket that we call related annotations. So this is really all the raw material for the investigation that we're writing. Not all of it's going to be woven into the document, but it's all there as part of the background of the research. We also saw how a subset of those annotations can be tagged with hypothesis date tags. And when those date tags exist, the set of dated annotations show up organized on this timeline. So that was all in the earlier video. Here's the new part. When in the text of the investigation, you use a hypothesis direct link, the direct link becomes a footnote, and the footnote comes to another widget in the document that we add, the footnotes widget. And the footnote contains the quote from the hypothesis annotation, which is transcluded here.